Emma Davis lived in a small town near Chicago. Every morning, she stood in front of her mirror, quietly hoping to feel better about herself, but self-doubt would whisper in her ear. Emma's hands always felt cold when she thought about speaking up at work or trying something new. She worried that people would laugh if she made a mistake, so she stayed silent, even when she had good ideas. At her job in the downtown library, Emma watched other people talk easily and smile at meetings, but she stayed in the back, holding her notes tightly and wishing she could be brave. Her manager sometimes asked her opinion, but Emma's voice shook and her cheeks turned red, so she quickly looked away. At home, Emma thought about all the things she wanted to do: join a book club, take a dance class, try public speaking. Every time she imagined herself in these situations, her heart started to race. She told herself she was not confident enough and always made an excuse to stay home. Each day felt the same as the last, and sometimes Emma worried that she would never change. Still, deep inside, she wished life could feel different. One chilly Thursday, Emma was putting new books on the library shelf when she found a small flyer in between the pages of a book about public speaking. The flyer was bright yellow with big, friendly letters. It said, "You have a voice, free public speaking workshop, Saturday, downtown." Emma's hands started to tremble a bit as she read it again. For a moment, her old worries began to swirl in her mind. That is not for me. I never speak in front of people. I always get nervous. I will just embarrass myself, she thought, folding the flyer and almost putting it in the recycling bin. Still, the words on the flyer felt warm and important. Emma stuffed it into her coat pocket, almost by accident. All day, Emma could not stop thinking about the flyer. She wondered what it would be like to go to a place where everyone wanted to learn to speak better. On her lunch break, she pulled the flyer out again and read it while eating her sandwich. The letter Y in "You Have a Voice" was covered with a smiley face, as if telling her gently, "Maybe this is for you." For the first time in a long while, a tiny spark of hope lit up in her chest. Walking home that night under the city lights, Emma thought of all the times she had stayed quiet because she was scared. She remembered her mother telling her, "Everyone's voice matters." Emma felt a strange mix of excitement and worry. The idea of trying something new made her palms sweat. She wondered, could she really change? Would someone like her, who always hides, truly be able to speak in front of others? Still, in her heart, a quiet voice said, "Try." Later, at home, Emma sat at the kitchen table, the flyer in front of her. She read every word slowly, as if it was a letter from a friend. The flyer said, "No experience needed. All are welcome. Come as you are." Emma liked those words. They sounded safe and kind. For a moment, she imagined herself standing in front of a small group, saying hello, maybe reading something out loud. Her stomach did a little flip of fear and hope mixed together. Emma wondered what other people would think of her if she tried and failed. The next morning, Emma saw the flyer on her table and picked it up again. She was still not sure what to do. Old habits told her to throw the flyer away and forget it. But now, there was a gentle push inside her. She thought of her quiet dreams: to be seen, to share her ideas, to break out of her shell. She whispered to herself, "I can try. Maybe just for one day." The fear was there, but it felt different, less heavy. Even if she was unsure, Emma started to believe, just a little, that change might be possible. On Saturday morning, Emma woke up early and looked at the yellow flyer again. Her heart was thumping in her chest as she thought about the public speaking workshop. Everything in her wanted to stay in bed, but that small spark inside her said, "Go." She put on her favorite blue sweater, took a deep breath, and walked to the downtown community center, feeling nervous but hopeful. The room was big and open. People sat in chairs, many looking just as nervous as her. Emma's hands felt cold, and she sat near the back, wishing she could disappear. The leader of the workshop was a friendly woman named Mrs. Carter. She smiled and said, "Everyone here is brave for coming." Emma nodded, trying to believe it was true. The first activity was simple. Everyone had to stand and say their name and favorite food. Emma could feel her heart beat faster as her turn came closer. When Mrs. Carter called her name, Emma felt like time stopped. For a moment, the old fear almost made her stay silent, but she remembered the words, "All are welcome. No experience needed." She slowly stood up and whispered, "My name is Emma, and I like pizza." Her voice was quiet, but she did it. Mrs. Carter smiled and said, "Great job, Emma." After that, everyone clapped, and Emma felt a small rush of pride. It was only a few words, but it was more than she had ever said in front of a group before. Her hands were still shaking, but she also felt lighter. It was a small win, but it mattered a lot to her. The next activity was to read a short story out loud. Each person got a piece of paper and 5 minutes to practice. When Emma saw her story, her palms grew sweaty again. The words felt strange and hard in her mouth. She started to think, maybe I can't do this. But Mrs. Carter walked over and said, "Take a breath. Go slow. Everyone here is learning, too." Emma nodded. She looked around and saw nervous faces just like hers. She took a slow breath, remembered her mother's words, and tried to smile. When her turn came, Emma stood up again. Her voice was shaky, and she made a small mistake when she read, but no one laughed or looked upset. Instead, they listened and clapped softly when she finished. Emma heard another woman say quietly, "Good job." Emma felt her shoulders relax. She had finished reading her story, and she hadn't run away. At the end of the workshop, Mrs. Carter gave everyone a gold sticker and said, "You did something hard today, and that means you are strong." Emma looked at her sticker and smiled. For the first time in a very long time, she believed maybe she really could change. The fear was still there, but now it shared space with hope. Emma walked home, feeling proud and just a little bit braver. A week after the workshop, Emma was busy working in the library when her manager, Mr. Thompson, asked her to come to his office. Emma felt her stomach twist with worry as she walked down the quiet hallway. Mr. Thompson smiled kindly as she came in. He said, "Emma, you know the library is hosting a big community event next Friday. We'd like you to welcome everyone and say a few words about our new reading program. I think you would do a great job." Emma froze. All she could hear was her heart pounding in her ears. She stared at her shoes. Speaking to the whole community felt much bigger and scarier than talking in front of the small workshop group. Emma wanted to say no. Every fear inside her came alive. She worried her voice would sound weak or she would forget the words in front of all those people. She remembered times when she was so nervous in meetings that her hands shook under the table. She thought about saying she was too busy, or that someone else should do it, but Mr. Thompson's eyes were hopeful. He said, "You have a calm way with people, Emma. I know everyone would like to hear from you." His faith in her felt new and heavy at the same time. That afternoon, Emma walked home with a weight in her chest. She kept thinking about the event. The community room would be full. People from her town would be there, friends, neighbors, even strangers. They would be watching her as she stood at the front, waiting for her to speak. She knew how her legs still shook when she spoke at the workshop. Could she really do this? She practiced her words as she cooked dinner, but the sentences sounded stiff and wrong. Every time she looked in the mirror, she saw the same quiet, nervous person she had always been. That night Emma could hardly sleep. She kept hearing her voice shaking in her head. She imagined people staring at her, maybe judging, maybe even laughing if she made a mistake. She worried she would let everyone down, or worse, she would embarrass herself so much that she would never want to speak in public again. She hugged her pillow and wished the fear would just disappear. The next day, Emma went to work tired and distracted. All day she measured her fear with every small decision. What if people expected too much? What if she said something wrong? She thought about her small win at the workshop, when her voice shook but the group still listened kindly. She tried to hold on to that feeling. After work, Emma sat at her kitchen table again with her notebook. She wrote the words she wanted to say at the event. Then she scratched them out and started again. She felt herself failing even before she tried. Still, she did not throw the notebook away. She decided she would keep trying, no matter how scared she felt. She did not know if she would be brave enough, but she was not ready to give up, either. On the day of the community event, Emma woke up before the sun rose. Her hands felt cold and her mind raced with worries. She sat at the kitchen table with a mug of tea, her speech on a small piece of paper. She read it over and over, but still, her heart thumped so loud it almost made her dizzy. In the mirror, her face looked pale and scared, but she tried to give herself a gentle smile. She whispered, "I can do this. I'm ready to try." At work, Emma felt like she was moving through a dream. The library was busy with people coming in and out, setting up for the evening's event. Colorful banners hung from the walls. Someone placed flowers on the tables. Emma watched it all from behind the main desk, her speech peeking out of her pocket. Her friends from work noticed her shaking hands. Mrs. Carter, the workshop leader, came up to her and said, "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be real." That simple sentence helped Emma breathe a little easier. As evening fell, the community room filled quickly. Emma stood at the edge of the stage, her stomach full of butterflies. The air hummed with excitement. The mayor was there. Kids ran between rows of chairs and older couples greeted each other warmly. When the lights dimmed and it was quiet, Mr. Thompson introduced Emma, praising her work at the library. Everyone clapped, waiting for her to speak. Emma climbed onto the stage and held the paper tightly, her fingers shaking. The audience looked so big from where she stood. Her voice caught in her throat for a second, and she almost wanted to run off. But then she looked at Mrs. Carter, who smiled and gave her a little thumbs up. Emma took a deep breath and remembered what she had practiced. She told herself, "I am here. I have something to share." Her voice was quiet at first. She said, "Hello, everyone. My name is Emma. I'm happy to welcome you tonight." The words sounded small and soft, but no one turned away. She swallowed and kept going. She spoke slowly, feeling her fear rise like a wave. But instead of letting it stop her, she let the wave push her forward. She remembered her first workshop and the tiny feeling of pride after saying just a few words. She held on to that memory to steady herself. As Emma read her speech about the new reading program, her voice became stronger, one sentence at a time. She told a quick story about her favorite childhood book, and some people in the audience smiled. A little boy in the front row winked at her, and she smiled back. Emma finished her speech, her heart pounding. For a moment, the room was silent. Then, people started to clap. The noise grew louder. Some people even stood, cheering for her. Emma realized she had done it. She had faced her fear and kept going. She stood on the stage, her hands still shaking, but also feeling lighter than she'd ever felt before. Her body buzzed with a mix of relief, happiness, and disbelief. She had not been perfect, but she had been herself. Emma learned that bravery was not about feeling no fear. It was about trying, even when every part of you wants to hide. As she stepped down from the stage, Emma knew something inside her had changed for good. The applause in the community room echoing after Emma's speech stayed with her long after she left the stage. People came up to her with warm smiles. Some shook her hand, and others thanked her for her kind words about reading and the library. A little girl with red glasses hugged Emma and said her speech made her feel brave. Emma's heart felt big and full. The nervous feeling was still there, deep inside, but now it mixed with something better, pride. She had done what she thought was impossible. Emma walked around the room as the event continued, helping her co-workers and talking with visitors. She found herself standing a little taller. Her voice sounded stronger each time someone said hello or asked for help. Even speaking with people she did not know, Emma felt less afraid. Sometimes her mind tried to tell her, "They are judging you," but she would shake her head gently and remember the look on Mrs. Carter's face, or the girl who felt inspired. Later that night, Emma went home and sat by her window, watching the city lights. She thought about everything that happened. She remembered her old fears, the way she used to hide, how she avoided chances to grow because she believed she was too quiet. Now, after this speech, those old worries did not feel as heavy. Emma realized that she was not the same person as before. She was still shy, and public speaking still made her nervous, but she also understood she had the power to change. She had faced something hard, worked through it, and learned that being brave was about trying new things, even with shaky hands and an unsure heart. Emma knew she was not perfect on the stage. She made a few mistakes, and her hands sometimes trembled while she spoke. But no one seemed to care about those small things. People listened to her message. They liked her real, honest voice. Emma saw now that it was okay to be nervous. It was normal to feel worried when trying something new. The important thing was to try, step by step, and not run away from challenges. She realized that doing her best was better than waiting to be perfect. That night, when she wrote in her journal, Emma let herself remember all the small wins: signing up for the workshop, standing in front of the group, speaking at the event. She drew a little gold star next to her writing, just like the sticker from Mrs. Carter. Every challenge she faced, every time she pushed herself a little more, made her stronger. She promised herself she would accept new chances, even if they were scary. Emma did not become a different person overnight. She still felt a little nervous the next time she talked at work, but now she greeted fear like an old friend. She said, "I see you, but I am trying anyway." Each step became a little easier, and her confidence grew. Emma learned that change was possible. Even someone quiet, nervous, and full of doubt could find her voice and share it proudly with others. The moment she took action, she changed her own story and started to believe in her ability to keep growing. The days after the community event moved quickly, but in Emma's heart, everything felt different. Each morning, she still looked in the mirror before work, but now she saw a woman who had faced her fear and stood up in front of others. When she walked to the library, the sunlight seemed brighter and her steps felt lighter. She caught herself smiling for no reason at all. People in her neighborhood waved and said, "Good job, Emma," as she passed by. Sometimes she blushed, but instead of feeling embarrassed, she felt proud inside. At work, new challenges came in small ways. One morning, Mr. Thompson asked if Emma could train the new staff member, Lisa, on how to use the library computer system. Before, Emma might have worried that she would make a mistake or explain something wrong. But this time, she took a deep breath and decided to be helpful. She spoke to Lisa kindly and patiently, showing her each step and answering every question. Even when she was unsure of an answer, she calmly looked it up or asked a coworker for help. Lisa thanked her and said, "You made this easy to learn." Emma felt happy to be useful. Another challenge came when the book club leader at the library got sick and could not lead the monthly meeting. Someone needed to step in. The other workers looked nervous and busy. Emma felt nervous too, but she remembered how it felt to speak at the community event: the butterflies, the shaking hands, and then the quiet moment when she realized she could do it. When she raised her hand to volunteer, her heart pounded, but this time it was not just from fear. It was also from excitement. She shared her favorite story with the group and asked others for their thoughts. Some people were quiet at first, and Emma smiled at them, remembering her own shy days. The meeting went well, and some new faces told her they wanted to come back again next month. Emma started to notice how she talked to herself and her thoughts. Before, when she made a mistake, she would think, "See, I can't do anything right." Now, she said to herself, "Next time will be better. I am learning." Even when things felt hard, Emma tried to find the small good parts of each day. If she spilled coffee on her shirt, she laughed and said, "It happens," and changed her clothes. If a task felt hard, she took a break, walked outside, and came back with a calmer mind. Her confidence felt different now, less like a sudden wave and more like a quiet strength growing each day. She noticed her voice did not shake as much during meetings. Sometimes, she even made jokes and people laughed with her. Emma still felt a little afraid of new things, But fear became a normal part of learning for her, not something to run away from. Inside, Emma started to trust that she could handle life's surprises. Each challenge taught her that she did not have to be perfect. She just had to keep taking small steps forward, one after another, and let herself grow along the way. Emma's life at the library began to change in gentle but powerful ways. She realized her own small journey could make a difference for others. One afternoon, while reshelving books, she heard someone in the reading area quietly whispering, "I want to join the book club, but I'm too shy." Emma smiled. She remembered her own fear and walked over to the person, a teenage girl named Jamie. Emma sat down beside her and told her a simple story. She said, "I was afraid too. I thought I would always be quiet. But each small step gets easier. I can help you join us next time. We can go together." Jamie's eyes grew bright and hopeful, and she agreed to try. Seeing Jamie take her first step made Emma happy. She saw herself in every nervous face, everyone who thought they were alone in their fear. Emma started to speak openly about confidence, nerves, and all the little lessons she learned. When someone felt scared to talk at work or to try a new project, Emma offered quiet support. She would give tips she picked up from Mrs. Carter's workshop, like taking a deep breath before speaking or picturing a friendly face in the audience. The idea of helping more people grew inside Emma. At night, she began writing down her thoughts about learning to speak up and face fears. Soon she decided to share her journey online. Emma made a blog, called Finding My Voice, where she posted stories about making mistakes, trying new things, and growing bit by bit. She wrote about simple ways to practice speaking, like reading a story to a family member or giving a toast at dinner. She made short videos for the library's YouTube channel, sharing tips in a warm, friendly way so others could listen and feel stronger too. People started sending Emma messages, thanking her for her honesty. Some wrote that they also felt nervous in groups but now wanted to try. Others asked questions about public speaking, so Emma made more helpful posts. She saw her words helping strangers she had never met, cheering them on from across the country. Emma felt amazed at how sharing her simple steps could shine a small light for others. Every day, Emma noticed her own growth. Her fears did not disappear, but they did not control her anymore. She saw progress in her voice, her choices, and her kindness to herself and others. At book club meetings, she encouraged members to tell their stories, even if they stumbled at first. She cheered when Jamie read the group a poem, watched her smile return, and felt her own heart swell with pride. One evening, Emma walked home along the quiet streets. She let the cool air fill her lungs and listened to her feet tapping on the sidewalk. She thought about the first time she stood up and spoke at the workshop, scared but hopeful. Now, she walked with a steady step, ready to face new things. She felt grateful for each hard day, every small win, and each person she inspired along the way. Emma knew her story would keep growing, and so would she. By sharing what she learned, she became not just stronger herself, but also a guide for others learning to find their own voice. As time passed, Emma felt the change in herself in many quiet ways. Life at the library kept moving forward. She still greeted people with her gentle smile, reshelved the books, and answered visitors' questions. But now, every day felt different to Emma. She felt strong and sure inside. Where she used to see a wall of fear, she now found open doors. When a new challenge came along, a busy day, a loud meeting, or a group of children visiting for story time, Emma did not feel the need to run or hide. She walked forward instead, welcoming each task. Her co-workers noticed too. People often came to Emma for help, not just with work questions but also when they needed encouragement. The new staff felt comfortable asking her for advice, and even some older workers became more open to trying new things after seeing Emma lead. Emma realized that her quiet courage had become a steady light in the workplace. She felt grateful for every chance to share her story or help someone else believe in their ability to grow. Emma's personal life also blossomed. She joined the dance class she had once been afraid to try. At first, she danced with slow, careful steps, worried about making mistakes. She laughed every time she got the moves wrong, but so did her classmates, and they cheered each other on. Emma met new friends there who inspired her in return. Her world was opening wider, and she was ready to explore it with a curious, brave spirit. At home, Emma often reflected on her journey. She knew that her fears would never fully disappear, but she accepted them as part of living. Now she understood that self-doubt was only a small voice and not the truth about her as a person. When she wrote new posts for her blog, Emma smiled at the thought of someone far away gaining courage from her stories. She answered messages from people who felt the same worry she once did, reminding them that small steps matter, and that mistakes are part of learning. Emma's confidence touched every corner of her life. She no longer avoided speaking in meetings. Instead, she shared her ideas, asked questions, and listened to other people's opinions. The manager sometimes asked Emma to lead team discussions, and she said yes without shaking. She planned new activities at the library and found joy in watching others grow because she believed in them. When Jamie, her young friend from the book club, gave a whole talk by herself, Emma was in the front row, cheering her on. Looking back, Emma saw how each small act of bravery became a building block for her new confidence. Her life was still full of ups and downs, but the difference was in her response. She saw each challenge as a chance to add to her story, not stop it. Emma felt hopeful for the future, ready to keep learning and growing, and open to new adventures. With every challenge, she trusted herself a little more. Now, when fear knocked at her door, Emma greeted it kindly, knowing she could move forward. Her story of growth was not finished. Emma was ready for whatever would come next, sure she could face life with a strong heart and a hopeful mind.